All right. So now we're on to the book, right?
Yes, the Libre.
Libre.
Hey, we need some Spanish in this episode, or some Russian.
What? Anyway, so I read the book. I bought it and read it in like a week. I like kind of speed read through it, but like not that I was like rushing, but like I was just really fucking into it. It's like a semi-thick book. It's not like super thick. It's not like It or something.
Pretty big. It's like 600 pages.
It's like 450.
Is it? I mean, it depends on like if the size of your book. Because my edition was like really small. It was like compacted. So yeah, but
mine was.
Get a small book.
It's a hooking read. Oh my god.
Oh my god, that's a big old book.
Yeah, it's
It's not small. It's normal size.
Believe me, guys. Come on, it's average. Look it up.
Yeah. 600 pages is literally average. Like, come on.
But it's a very I don't know what's not enthralling. It sucks you in.
It's hooking.
It sucks you off.
It's very sucky.
It sucks. It really just like from the first chapter with the interview with Ullman.
Sucks your dick.
Yeah. Kind of like that furry was sucking that.
Anyway. Shit. So the furry? Wait, so the furry's a metaphor for the book?
Anyway, it really just from the opening pages. I mean, I was just like directly into it, and like the way King takes his time.
He's very descriptive.
He's very descriptive.
It almost
feels
like like a character study of like all the characters because he like goes so in depth.
Yeah, even like some of the side characters have a lot going on. It's like very. I really love the style. I'm not a big book reader. I'm trying to read more, but like this is probably one of my favorite books now. I'm kind of a normie, but like it's very really great. I just enjoyed the whole thing, and like I love the. It is going for a different tone. It's going for the whole kind of very much more supernatural. And very clear-cut supernatural, at least I think. Because like at first when I was reading it, I was thinking, all right, so is this going to be like, the ghosts, or not ghosts, the spirits or whatever in the hotel? Is this like a metaphor for like Jack's inner demons? But like as it goes on, it becomes pretty clear what King's going for. As it is about, it's kind of a tragedy, it's like this, or a tragic story. Not tragedy, it's a tragic story about, this man being manipulated through his alcohol, or his trying to recover from alcoholism, into trying to kill his family. And it's almost like at the end he's like possessed in a way. They like describe it. He like what does he do? He like spoilers for the book, I guess. I said spoiler at the beginning. It's okay. He like bashes his face in with a what is it? A rock mallet or roke? How do you say that?
Yeah, like a roke. Yeah, I think it's roke.
They always talk about the roke mallet. It's like some kind of weird version of cricket or some shit. I don't know.
I have no clue what the fuck roke is.
He like bashes his face in with it, and like it's a very I don't know what's the word. Very graphic image in the way they describe it. He like bashes his face in it. It's becoming like all these different things, all these different like parts of the.
Every time he hits his face, he like becomes Yeah,
and like it's such a. It kind of reminded me of some of the like at least images I know of from the book It. Also Stephen King, which I also want to read. It's a very thick book, but anyway.
I've actually read that, I think, but I want to reread it because
it looks great. Anyway, just like, and it's like at that point you realize he is like possessed by the hotel. It's like he lets the hotel into him. It's not like and like the whole thing in the book is the hotel wants Danny. They want him to kill Danny. They want to like consume him to get like his shine, which is something a lot in Doctor Sleep. You're probably a good bit into it. You probably know the whole steam like vampires and all that shit.
What are they called? The True Knotters?
Yeah, and they're like in Doctor Sleep, they're they like kill people and like consume their shine. They like hunt on the people who shine, which is something I'm not really.
I never really made the connection. I'm having like a eye-opening moment where I just see like the parallel between like the Overlook and the like True Knot from Doctor Sleep.
Yeah, it's it's like this evil, different various evils like feed on the shine. But like the way it's described in the book, it works perfectly. I think that the motivations, everything in the book, The Shining. I haven't read Doctor Sleep at all. I haven't read any of it, but it works perfectly. All the motivations, everything works great. Like if you apply the same reasoning for what's happening in the book to the film, I think it takes away all the like ambiguity and all the like mystery of it, and I think it kind of ruins it. Which is one of my main problems. I'll get to when I talk about Doctor Sleep. With that book or with that film, how it's being a sequel to The Shining, and it has a lot of elements from the book. I know from Doctor Sleep and also from the Shining book that carry over. That I don't know. I'll get to that, but it just kind of takes away a lot. If you were to say like the movie, the Shining, if it's that same logic that the hotel wants Danny, I think that really completely ruins it. And that's why I think it's a completely separate thing. I think the book and the movie are two completely separate like things. They're both great. I love them both. They're both like 10 out of 10 in my opinion. But they're going for way different things. And that's why I think it's understandable why Stephen King would kind of hate The Shining because of, that is a very personal story about the alcoholism and stuff.
How Kubrick kind of fucked with it, but yeah.
Yeah, and like, but yeah, about the book, it's just really, really great. I mean, like at the beginning when like Danny is, he has visions, premonitions of like the Overlook, and there's like he describes it as like there's a monster chasing him through the halls. It's not really clear that it's Jack, but then you kind of get like this like this feeling, at least early on. Maybe I was just stupid. I mean, I knew where it's going, but it's like you kind of get this feel that it's Jack, and then it's like it slowly over the course of the film it reveals itself, and like it becomes pretty clear maybe halfway through the book where it's going. But like I don't know, I just really love that, and like it's just building up and building up, and like I don't know, it's just really great.
Yeah, it's very well written. Yeah, it's definitely one of my favorite books.
Penis.
Yeah, honestly, I agree.
Yeah, kind of spitting facts right now,
Yeah.
But the I do really enjoy the backstory to like Jack and Wendy and like their relationship, and the way they describe all the stuff like before the film or before the main event with the hotel and like where the book starts and where the film starts as well.
Yeah, all it really dives into like this. All their problems, like they have like kind of like a strained romantic relationship, and Wendy is like contemplating divorce, and she has like problems with her mother, and
Jack has the problems with his father, and like how his
and it all makes sense like in the long run when it starts delving into like the supernatural shit, like all their problems start coming back, and I feel like that's well done. And obviously, since the movie is a movie, they couldn't really,
they couldn't dive into that same stuff, and I'm really glad they didn't because, like I said before, it's in the film. It's
and it's not being like it's trying to be ambiguous.
Not being clear. Yeah, it's being ambiguous about like kind of what's the dynamic with Jack and Danny and Wendy and all the stuff. I like that it's kind of left vague and like you're just given hints of stuff that happened, like with Danny breaking or Jack breaking Danny's arm. But, like in the book, there's this stuff with Jack and the alcoholism. There's a really great chapter when him and his friend, I forget the friend's name, they like run over a
bike, yeah.
A bike, and like I love how, and like he's afraid that he like killed some little kid or something, and for the rest of the book, like
he has like visions of the bike.
Yeah, he like has the visions of the bike, and like Jack, like he's always like kind of tormented with these things, and like same with like he beats up like one of his students at one point. That was really interesting, and just the whole dynamic there with like him and like he's like trying to convince himself because it's like that he wasn't like jealous of the kid because it's like he was like jealous of him being young and stuff, and like I don't know, it's just really interesting kid, like, how much detail it is in it. But like the kid like slashed up his tires, but
right, but
and like Jack also like Jack's like inner monologue of like how he's always like craving a drink. It's just like painful to read sometimes. How he's just like
it's painfully realistic, like because you can totally picture it being like a real.
And you really feel what he's going through, and it's just very, really, very great.
And it helps like Stephen King based it off experience because it's probably what he was telling himself when he was dealing with like his alcohol problems.
Yeah, that's why it feels very honest.
Right.
Yeah, it's and like that's really great, and like the whole and it makes it a lot sadder too when Jack, he goes down, and like the way he builds up like his like kind of anger towards Wendy and Danny. Just like sometimes it feels like he's just lashing out because he's like pissed off because he's like dealing with the stuff with his alcoholism and stuff, and then it goes from that to like this more like violent, like these like images and thoughts he's having of like the kind of the hotel, like putting these things in his head of like
like he has
and eventually
visions,
it's like
like
I'll kill him, and like eventually that's what it gets to, but like it's very subtle throughout the book.
Yeah, and
like,
it's a great build up. It's like the pacing is like so good. It happens so subtly, like the descent into insanity, which is what the book is trying to depict when the movie isn't.
Yeah, I mean,
but it happens so perfectly. Like you don't see it like happening, and just kind of like.
Yeah, it's just like it's just the whole thing that whole way it plays out, and all the stuff with Danny and like how he's he's having visions of stuff, and he's seeing stuff, like he's always he'll like sense the word divorce. I really like that, how he'll like sense words with like between his parents, and there's this one point where he senses the word suicide with Jack. Like that was like a really like scary moment.
That's
powerful. Like, oh no, because it's like Danny didn't even realize what was happening there, but it's like there's just so much detail with the characters and so much put into it, and like I really love that. And the whole third act is very whole ending of the book with when Danny's chasing him around stuff. It's very intense, and it's cutting from that to Dick coming to the hotel on a snowmobile, I think it is, and it's like it cuts back. It's like fuck, just get back to what's happening.
Well, actually, another funny thing
very tense.
Like that in the movie, Kubrick like inversed the colors of the Torrance car and the snowmobile. Oh, and it's like a.
Also, you see a car when Dick is driving out to the hotel. You see it's like a red car, I think, because they describe several points to like red Beetle.
It's in a car crash.
Yeah, it's like crushed, like run over by like a semi truck or something off to the side of the road, and it's like people say that's like a Kubrick saying like "fuck you" to King, like "fuck you." This is my version. I'm changing it, which I don't know if that's really true. I don't know. I don't think Kubrick has like a. I mean, I might be wrong, but I don't think he has like something against King. I mean, obviously he liked the source material enough to make his own this whole other version of it. But
it's just a funny little detail because like the colors are the same.
Yeah,
but like on different vehicles.
Yeah. Also, there's the ending is very different. They burn down the hotel. I forget because
and then Dick is still alive in the book, and then they go off to like Florida or whatever. And the ending's pretty sad, honestly.
This is something I wanted to bring up. So in the miniseries, I'll get to that in a moment. It's kind of implied that Jack. The miniseries plays out pretty much almost exactly like the book. It follows the same beats, going for the same stuff. But it's implied, or it's pretty clear in the miniseries that it's like Jack kind of became himself again after being possessed with the boiler and blew up the hotel. But I forget, Jack in the book? I don't think he did that. I think he was completely taken over at that point. Then he like runs down to like stop the boiler from exploding because like he left it unattended for several days or whatever. And then like at the last minute, he like turns it down and thinks he saves it, then it blows up, right? Or like, do you remember, or was it that he like?
No, I think it was like, crazy from till the end.
Yeah, because like I said earlier in the Shining discussion in the film, I compared something, but there's that scene when he's in the ballroom with all the people, and like they give him the drink, and he's like, drink it, and like everyone, it describes how like their faces are like melting and like rotting, which is really creepy. A lot of creepy imagery. King has a very descriptive style. And like then he drinks it, and like that's kind of like he like gave in, and like after that point it's like he's too far gone, like there's nothing saving him, which it is really sad, and like it's different because like in the film it's not really sad when Jack like kind of loses it. I mean it's scary, but like I wouldn't really call it sad because like all the different thing, like how he is from the beginning. But yeah, it's really really great book. But yeah, the ending, Dick, they're in Florida with Dick, and he's alive. And let's see. It's kind of it's more happy than the ending of the film. I think the film is a bit more bleak or just generally disturbing with like some of the last image and stuff.
It doesn't really like reveal what happens to
it's
Wendy
creepier.
And...
With them they just drive off it's not. Yeah, apparently there's like a cut scene where like they're in the hospital and like someone comes up and gives Danny
the
tennis ball. Yeah, Ullman. Yeah, he comes up with a tennis ball that like Jack was playing with earlier in the film. So I don't know what that's supposed to mean. It was cut out for a reason. So but yeah, in the book they're like sitting on a dock and like it's kind of like a happy image of like they're sitting on the dock with Dick and Wendy and Danny.
It's like bittersweet because like
it's very bittersweet.
Their life, it's like a happy ending because they made it out alive and
but they're like
living
fucked,
the good life, but like they just fucking live through the worst experience.
Yeah, obviously there's got a lot of trauma there, and like Danny, how he says like he misses Jack, like that was really sad. So
because like
a very bittersweet ending.
Because it wasn't his dad that was, it was the hotel like through.
Yeah, there's even that part when it's different. Like in the film, Danny, he leads like Jack like into the maze, and he like tricks him, and he dies. But in the book, Jack finds Danny, and he's gonna kill him with a rock mallet or whatever. And then Danny says like, "No, it's not you." He kind of like confronts him.
And he's confident that it's not his dad. Like, and Wendy keeps on repeating to him like, "That's not your dad." Like doing his thing. So
because it's not, and it's like he's kind of like you don't have any power or whatever. And that's really it is very different. And like he and like he really did love his dad too. In the they say it throughout and like different stuff. And like it is sad. It's a very sad book. I really like it. I don't know how much more I have to say about it though. I'm not really a book reviewer.
Yeah, I'm kind of like
There's no blood elevator.
There is an elevator though, which is pretty important to the story, but it's not a blood elevator. It's just like confetti and shit like that. Yeah. But it runs by itself.
Confetti in my pants.
I also, one last thing, I love the descriptions of the wind howling outside the hotel. They say that like a lot at the end of not every chapter, but like a lot of at the end of the chapter is like then the wind like howled against the. I don't know. It's very atmospheric.
Yeah,
the way he describes everything.
I mean, you can really picture yourself like in this hotel, and like when you're reading it, especially for a long period of time, like you kind of like completely immerse yourself into like the setting.
Yeah. I kind of wish. I mean, I'd kind of love to read the book without having seen any of the movies or knowing anything about it. But yeah, it was great. I mean, even though I knew everything and I kind of knew where it was going and stuff, I really enjoyed it. Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna rate it. I don't really rate books. Like I have some issues here and there, maybe I don't really fucking know. But like, I don't know. I give it probably like a 10 because I'm lenient with my book ratings.
I definitely give it a 10. It's one of my favorite books. I mean, I hadn't read a book since like 2014, but like,
yeah, same.
It was refreshing just reading again.
I used to read Hardy Boys books when I was younger. I love those. I read like all of them.
What the fuck is that?
They're like these like detectives. There's like two brothers, the Hardy Boys, and like they would solve different mysteries or like different like crime cases and mysteries, different stuff. In every book, there's like so many of these like old books, and there's like a newer version. I mean, it goes all the way back to like the 40s, I think. They made those for years, the Hardy Boys. And I like read like all of them. I read the newer versions, like I think it's called like the Undercover Brothers or something. I loved that stuff when I was younger, but then I just stopped reading. I didn't read for years.
Yeah, I used to read a lot when I was younger.
Yeah, then I started listening to audiobooks of like movie books or books that movies are based on. Like I started reading like American Psycho, Trainspotting. Actually, just pretty recently, like maybe a year and a half ago. So I kind of started to get back into reading. Like I said earlier, I'm going to read Clockwork Orange sometime. Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas as well. So that's cool, a little bit of my book journey, my biblio journey. If that's I don't fucking know.
I have no clue. Maybe a word.
So should I get on to room 237? I'll keep my thoughts brief. I don't have a lot to say.
Sure, yeah.
This is going to be like a 2.5 hour episode.
This is going to be long, and we still have Doctor Sleep to do.
So this was room 237. from 2012, directed by Rodney Asher. I think it is. Andy, have you seen this?
Movie. Yeah, I saw it quite a while ago, like right after I saw The Shining.
Yeah. So this film, it's basically they take various people who have these very complex theories and
Very
conspiracy
fucking
theories and interpretations of The Shining, and just mash them together. And like, I think it's interesting to watch this, not as a this is what The Shining's about, but as how far people take conspiracy theories, like how far people look into it. Especially because one of the main things is how Kubrick's a perfectionist, and like so, like they think everything in every shot is meaningful. And they build these elaborate, weird theories on it, and that's really interesting. But like, I don't know, I just think some of it's too ridiculous, and I think the presentation of the documentary is just ass.
Yeah.
Like, there's a part where there's just a lot of shots of like from different movies and different Kubrick movies, where it's like people looking at screens and then they'll like put parts of The Shining on it. That's just so amateurish. Feels like something someone would put in like a YouTube video. I don't know, just like that's not good. There's like a part where
doc.
yeah, it's just like it feels kind of lazy, and like there's a part where a guy is like talking about his I forget which theory it is. They say like theory 1, theory 2, but the guy's talking, and then in the background you just hear his kid crying. And I was like, oh wait, hold up a minute. Then he goes and shuts the door. They didn't even cut that out. It's like, what the fuck?
What the fuck?
It's like
I don't remember that. But...
yeah, the presentation of it isn't very good. And actually, for the actual theories, there's like, let's see, I'm just gonna go through them. I wrote them down. Theory 1 is about the Native American genocide. There's all kinds of Native American symbols throughout the films, rugs, symbols. You know, they talk about it at different points. Someone says like the Calumet, the baking powder cans that has like a Native American chief on it. I think that's like that means they're making a deal, or I don't fucking know. It's kind of weird. There's one about the Holocaust subtext, because it's like Kubrick talked about how he always wanted to make a Holocaust film, and he never got to. And it's like the typewriter that Jack is typing on is a German typewriter with an eagle on it, and he thinks that means it's about Nazis. The film 42 appears throughout the film, and that's like 1942 is like, I think that's when like the Holocaust. Then just they go into this bullshit. When they go into this bullshit, you just know it's bullshit. They went into all right, so if you take these numbers and multiply them together, you end up with 42. And that's ridiculous. You can do that with literally anything and come up with all kinds of weird coincidences. And it's just because everything's like, have you seen the movie Pi?
No.
I have seen that. I didn't love it.
I love Pi. That's one of my favorite Aronofskys. Anyway, they talk about that in that, how it's like you can find number patterns in anything, like drive yourself insane with it. And it's like, yeah, if you multiply, room 237, if you multiply 2, 3, and 7, it comes to 42, and that means it's about the Holocaust. No, it's not. My favorite theory was that the entire thing's filled with subliminal sex images. Because, in quotes, it's about ghosts and demons feeding off people sexually. And he never explains what that means.
God, I'm never watching that shit.
And then he says, like, funny quote. What is it? The room 237 is Jack's fantasy chamber where he gets it on with the witches. Is that such a stupid, like, really?
It's just a stupid way to word it in general. Like,
yeah, and like he says, my favorite part, best part of the documentary is hilarious. You can probably find a clip of it on YouTube. He says, when Jack first meets Ullman, goes to the office, and when they shake hands, there's like a paper tray in front of Ullman, and it looks like it's like an erection because it's like sticking out.
Oh
it's
my
like,
God, I remember that.
It's like, I can't believe this is what the guy is looking at. He's watching The Shining and saying, look, there's a boner there. It's like, it's so stupid. And then it's like,
kind of looks like an erection.
It's like,
what the fuck are you, like, how far-fetched you?
Yeah, and he says, like, oh, there's all these, like, subliminal, like, sexual images. And then he says, right after that, he says, oh, and there's an image of Kubrick airbrushed into the clouds in the beginning. But how is that sexual? What does that have to do with what you just said? And like, they show it, and they have it slowed down. And then you can't see Kubrick in the clouds. They didn't even put an image of what he's supposed to be talking about.
I mean, at that point, you can see anything and anything. Like,
but it wasn't. Like, even if you look closely, you don't see Kubrick in the clouds. It's so stupid. It's just ridiculous. There's the let's see. I'm not going to go through all of them. One of them, supposedly they say Jack is a representation of a Minotaur.
Minotaur.
Because there's like because it's something about a maze. I don't know. It's like some based on something. It was kind of interesting, but the reasoning was because in the rec room where Danny sees little girls for the first time, you see a poster and it looks like it's skiing. But if you look closely, Ullman said that they shut it down so there wouldn't be skiing. And if you look closely, it's actually a minotaur. And it's like, no, it's not. It's a guy skiing. It's clearly a guy skiing. That does not mean that Jack's a minotaur. I don't know. It's just, let's see what else. Fuck. Kubrick faked the moon landing. I talked about that a little bit. Like there's all these hints: the Apollo 11 sweater, the 237,000 miles to the moon. Yeah, that's ridiculous. Because like 2001, people thought that if you can make a film look as good as 2001, that he could have faked the moon landing. It's like, no, fuck off. Bill Watson is a metaphor for dead Native Americans. I don't know what the fuck that was supposed to be because he doesn't look quite white. That's what they said.
Oh, yeah. That's one colored character, metaphor for Native Americans.
Also, this one was weird. He said, so a wolf is supposedly an anti-Semitic symbol for like Jewish people.
Where the fuck is there a wolf in the movie?
Yeah, exactly. So like, there's like a cartoon or something in the 20s or some shit where it was like the what the fuck? Three Little Piggies.
People are all high off crack or something.
In the Three Little Piggies, there was a cartoon where it's like there's a wolf trying to blow down the house, in that classic kids thing, and it had like a stereotypical like anti-Semitic like stereotype like a long nose or whatever. And then they said when Jack says I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your house down before he cuts the door in, that means he's supposed to be Jewish. Okay, but why? What does that have to do with anything else in the film?
Like, why would Kubrick want to like reference the Holocaust in the Shining movie? Like, even if you wanted to make a movie about the Holocaust,
you just cut out. Are you gone for good?
It's like someone saying like, I really wanted to make like a Barbie movie, but I also wanted to make a movie about the AIDS crisis, so I'm gonna like slide in some metaphors about AIDS in this movie.
Exactly, it's so stupid.
Just one thing at a time.
Like the dumbest thing is it's like, all right, so he says that some guy, I have no idea who these people are. They aren't like film critics. They might just be like some random guy you got off the street. I have no fucking clue. They don't really say. And he just says this is like theory number 8. All right, Jack represents. He's supposed to be Jewish. So what? What does that have to do with anything else? It's just ridiculous. I don't know. It's just stupid. And it's like I think this could have been a better documentary than it was. And of course the classic, if you watch the film forwards and backwards simultaneously, there's like scenes that connect. And like I've seen clips of it, it's kind of interesting. There's like stuff like I forget at one point where it's like someone saying, oh, everything will be okay, or like oh, we'll be fine at the hotel, and it's like that syncs up to when he's like chasing them at the end, and like that's interesting, but like I don't think that really means anything. And like I said, I watched the started watching the YouTube documentary, which it was well put together, but like what they're saying is ridiculous. Where if you watch it forwards and backwards while playing Abbey Road, it all makes sense. Your third eye is open. It
just makes sense. Like okay.
But yeah, it's like also someone said at one point that let's see. Oh, someone calls Barry Lyndon boring. Like really? I fucking love that movie. You just kind of like drop that it's like a boring movie while you're talking about how genius Kubrick is. Like, come on, bruh.
F. Is that it
though? Someone says that they were trying to analyze The Shining, and then their kid walked in and mentioned something about a little boy inside their head, and that something about someone's head being cracked open, and then they thought, man, this connects to The Shining because you see a guy with his head split open.
What?
And it's like. It has nothing to do with The Shining. It's something their stupid kid said. It's just ridiculous. It's not a very good documentary.
Let's move on.
Yeah, I'll move on. I would give it a 4 out of 10 just because I don't think the presentation is very good, and I don't think that it actually delves into like talking about how out there these people are, and that it's more of just. It's just I don't think it really has that much substance. It could be good if they gave it more of like a different feel, but like I just think it's kind of stupid as it is. Yeah, that's. Oh fuck! I still gotta talk about the miniseries. This is gonna be like our longest episode, and it'll only be the first half.
So long.
Shit, we're already at like 2.5 hours. I'm losing it.
You don't have to if
We
you
don't have
want
to talk about the mini. Do people
Okay.
care about the miniseries?
I'm gonna give some brief thoughts. I put a Letterboxd review saying I'd talk about it. I'll just talk about it a little bit. So basically, they tried to make a very literal adaptation of the book. They just tried to make it exactly like that. Stephen King was like a producer and a writer on it, I think. He was like very behind it. It was like, yes, we're going to make it like the book. You know, we're not none of this Kubrick shit. We're going to make it exactly how I want it. And like, it's just not good. Like the acting's not good. The kid who plays Danny is fucking terrible. The Tony, you know, the voice in Danny's head, he shows up as like a guy who floats around in the air talking to him, like a teenager who floats around in the air. That's the worst CGI on him floating. It's cheesiest shit ever. It's just terrible. I don't know, just the acting's bad. I mean, some of them are okay. The guy, Steven Weber, who plays Jack, he's okay. They tried to make Wendy's character like, oh, she's very strong and like capable, but it's like, it just doesn't fit. It feels forced. It feels like they were just saying, all right, let's not do what Shelley Duvall did. I don't know, there's one point where she's like, just gets really horny and it's like, oh, Jack, why aren't you fucking me? I don't know what that was all about. Yeah, it's just weird. I didn't like it. The CGI is terrible on like the hedge creatures, and there's like a fire hose that turns into a snake. It looks terrible. It's not very well done. It's got very like crappy like TV quality. But like overall, it's just what they did was like they'll have lines from the book, and like there's just no subtlety. You know what? Because like in the book, there's a lot of people thinking stuff, and they'll just outright say it. So there's none of the subtlety of the book. There's nothing there. It's just like very. I took a bunch of notes, but I'm not going to really go into it. I had a few interesting things. The actor of Danny, Cortland Mead, he was in Hellraiser Bloodline as the son of the modern day ancestor guy. So,
oh my god!
Shout out if you remember anything about Hellraiser Bloodline.
What the fuck is Bloodline?
It was the fourth one. It's the one when they're in outer space.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and like when they're in like present day, he was the son of the ancestor guy, the guy who built the puzzle box. So shout out that. It just doesn't have the same edge as the novel or the Kubrick film. It just feels very cheap and generic and like sappy. There's really stupid stuff they throw in to make it like, ooh, the hotel's haunted. Like there's a scene when like nobody's around and you just see a porch swing like swinging on its own. I was like, what is this? This has nothing to do with the psychological stuff going on in the book. It's really dumb. What else? Jack just like, he doesn't have the gradual descent into like insanity. It just feels like kind of all at once after part two, and the pacing is really bad. The way they pace it out, like the first half is like takes way too long. There's like 3 parts. The first like part just takes way too long. I don't know. It's Marvin Van Peebles plays Dick Halloran. He's my favorite part of it. He did it pretty good. Not as good as Scatman Carruthers, but if you know Marvin Van Peebles, he's actually a filmmaker. He recently had a Criterion box set of his films released, which I haven't seen any of them, but I heard they're good. So, shout out him, I guess. The dialogue's bad. They try and take stuff from the book, and it just doesn't work in the same context.
You said that.
No, I did. Fuck. They take parts from the book, and completely miss the point of what made those scenes good. Like there's a scene in the doctor's office when they explain something, and they just cut out part of it that made that scene good. None of the like paranoia of the book is there. They just have like Wendy saying like, oh, I'm scared. Come on, let's leave. Instead of like chapters and chapters worth of the book where they're like slowly contemplating stuff and like thinking things over. It's just bad. The music is really bad. Fuck, what else? Oh, Shawnee Smith, the actor of Amanda from Saw, shows up for like 10 seconds. That was like fun to see her like show up. Also, Sam Raimi shows up as like a gas station attendant for like literally like 5 seconds.
Oh, of course.
The scares are really bad and cheap. The ending is really bad. So yeah, they threw in that Jack like purposely like blew up the hotel because he like comes back he like regains his consciousness and blows it up and so it's all over, and then like it cuts to Danny's. It completely cuts out like the like bittersweet ending, and it's like Danny's graduation from high school, and Dick Halloran's there, and he's like he says all's well that ends well, and then Jack's ghost shows up and like gives Danny a thumbs up. which is just fucking terrible. I mean, it's just like, really, you're gonna throw in this like sappy happy ending? It's just bad. It's terrible. They even tease a sequel at the end. They're like, yeah, the Overlook is being rebuilt. Creepy. Yeah, I think that I think the book could be adapted into a very good, like maybe like an HBO miniseries or something. Because I think the source material and this other like interpretation of the story, unlike something completely separate from Kubrick's, could be turned into a very good like HBO miniseries. I would love to see that because it's very good. I think the material's all there. It's just this was terrible. Yeah, it's just shit is boof. Marvin Van Peebles was the only good part. I'd give it a 2 out of 10. They're done. We're all done talking about the original Shining stuff.
It only took 2.5 hours.
Oh, my throat is like, I can barely talk. All right. I'm gonna end this recording for now, and then we'll go. If you want to, we'll go into the Doctor Sleep.
Let's do that.
All right. So sorry anyone who really wanted a deep analysis of the miniseries, but yeah, we're gonna cut this off here because it's already long as fuck, and we'll do a part 2. So see you then, I guess. Andy, say something funny in case people don't listen to the Doctor Sleep. They need to hear something funny. Say penis or something.
Don't let your mothers grow up to be zebras.
That is true.
That is not funny at all, and neither